Yeah, hi, and welcome to our 90-minute Eye on the Black and Gold special. I'm Doug Bouton, that's Brooke Kirchhofer.
We're live in Mid-City and in London. Meg Ferris is live at Finn McCool's, where they're getting ready for some early morning football. But let's start with Ricardo Lecomte live in London. Hey, Ricardo. Yeah, Finn McCool's Irish Pub has a long history of early morning football watch parties, and that's where our own Meg Ferris will spend her morning with Saints fans. Meg, how's the crowd looking just before 7 a.m.? Yeah, Meg, we hope to see some fans start to roll in. She will be live at Finn McCool's all morning as New Orleans wakes up to Saints football. Ross, with Andy Dalton getting the start, Michael Thomas obviously ruled out for this game. How much does that hurt the offense, and how do you go about replacing somebody like Michael Thomas in this game? Welcome back to our Eye on the Black and Gold pregame special. With Andy Dalton starting at quarterback for the Saints, what does that mean for the organization moving forward? As of right now, this is still Jameis Winston's team, but former Saints quarterback Bobby Hebert explains how that could change. A transverse fracture is what quarterback Jameis Winston is currently dealing with in his back. Against the Panthers, Winston wore 4 extra layers of padding and a custom-made backplate to help with support. In regards to pain, there's no doubt Winston is dealing with a fair amount, but the question becomes, is the injury affecting his throwing mechanics? Former Saints quarterback Bobby Hebert doesn't believe that's the case.
No, I think Jameis is fine. He's just been inconsistent. I'm not saying he's not dealing with pain, but that's the difference between being hurt, are you hurting, or you injured. I think maybe it affects him at times, but on the one drive, he goes 7 for 7. If you're out there, you're going to be held accountable. If you're not well enough to play, you think you're hurting the team, then I think they have to go with Andy Dalton.
With Winston now officially ruled out, Dalton will get the start. In his short time with the Saints, Dalton has some preseason snaps under his belt, throwing for over 100 yards and 1 touchdown with New Orleans. Dalton is also entering his 12th season in the NFL.
I can see the opportunity where if Jameis doesn't start and Andy Dalton comes in and he does well, that's happened all the time in the NFL.
He's holding this back.
The bottom line is they want the production, they want that winning formula to help the team. And I said this in their training camp, that I think truly if everyone's clicking and playing to their ability, I think whether we had Jameis Winston at quarterback or Andy Dalton, that we could be a 10-win team with either one at quarterback. Look, they played in the preseason, the ball didn't touch the ground. Andy Dalton was perfect in the preseason games, Jameis was also. So you just got to be patient.
Dalton will get an opportunity to make a statement with this team Sunday, but he will be without their star wideout, Michael Thomas. When Demario Davis first came to the Saints in 2018, he was named a team captain right away, but that wasn't always the case for the linebacker from Brandon, Mississippi, who has now grown into a leadership role over the years. I sat down with Davis ahead of the London trip to find out how those leadership qualities have helped shape the Saints' defensive mentality. I want to take you back to Seattle, 2019, your first pregame huddle speech with the Saints. In that moment, could you see that this could be your role with the Saints?
No.
We done studied this opponent all week. We done studied, we know the opponent.
I mean, when you're in that moment, you're not thinking about a life after Drew. So it was an honor for me to step in, but I always knew that I could step into that, but I didn't ever think about actually doing it. And so I put a lot of thought and energy into that one, and it went well. And I guess so well that when he came back, he asked me to share that moment with him. And so I think it was a natural transition.
When were you first named a team captain? Was it the NFL, college, or even at Brandon High School?
I don't think I was selected a captain even in my senior year in high school. I mean, I was a little rough around the edges, so that might have been a smart choice by my coaches. But I was selected a captain in college, but I mean, the first time actually wearing the C was actually here in New Orleans, because selected as a captain in Cleveland and selected as a captain in New York, but we didn't actually have the C.
When you got here in 2018, Dennis Allen in his role with the defense, could you tell that maybe he was creating something special?
I don't know if I noticed it right away how good our defense could be. But I think me coming and some other guys starting to elevate their play, it started to be like, man, wait, we got a really good group.
Back in 2019 when Breeze went out, I remember being in the locker room and every guy that was on defense that I talked to, it was that shift of, we want to win this game for our team. Like, we want to put the team on our back. Is that when the shift happened?
I believe that's really when the shift happened, because when I came, that was the only mentality I ever knew, was defense wins games. So coming here was a little bit different. I remember, talking with DA when I first got here, like, look, I believe in putting it on the defense. I think everyone had that mentality, but it had never been needed. But when Drew went down, it was, I believe, the time where everybody realized, okay, well, now it's on us and it has to be on us. And it can be. And even when Drew came back, that mentality just kind of stuck around. When Drew retired, we had already won 11 games without him. And I think it was natural for us to be ready for that transition.
Then to introduce the next head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Dennis Allen.
DA becomes the head coach. This defensive mentality that grew back in 2019 now is carried over to special teams and the offense. How have you seen those players respond to this defensive mentality that's now, this is a team identity?
It's happening. It's happening for sure. And I think DA has done a tremendous job of presenting himself in a way that guys believe in him. And guys are buying in. The type of success that has happened with him leading the defense, it's only naturally going to happen for the whole team with that buy-in of everybody.
You talk about believing. Back in training camp, gonna look at your quote. You said the book is still being written on this defense. We're chasing greatness to be the best, one of the best defenses ever. Why not go be number one? Do you feel like this defense can still do that and be written in history books?
Yeah, of course. I feel greater than ever about it, because we had our first game where we kind of got away from doing what we were coached to do, but then we got right back at it, and you going against one of the better offenses in the league, and you hold them to limited yardage. And so we know when we do what we're coached to do, it's gonna work.
Yeah, and thanks to DeMario for taking the time to sit down with me. He put it best: when it all comes together and they're trusting these coaches, I think we can see this team still succeed. It's only week 4. We've been talking about it a lot during this show. There's a lot of unknowns going into this game, but one thing the Saints have done in years past is stopping the run. We haven't really seen them successfully do that for 4 quarters. I think with their defensive line coming in healthy, you have to rely on that group to be able to stop their running back in Dalvin Cook. We've seen what he's able to do in games, so they have to just stop the run against the Vikings in order to get a win.